Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to erase every doubt that whispers you can't, and replace it with the unshakable conviction that you can and you will, because belief is not just a thought. It is the seed from which achievement grows. The starting point of every success, every invention, every revolution was belief. Let me tell you something fundamental. What the mind can conceive and what the heart dares to believe, the will can achieve. But belief alone is not enough. It must be backed by action, relentless, confident, and unwavering action. You must act as if you are the best, not to boast, but to become. Excellence is not an accident. It is the result of consistent effort driven by belief in your own potential. Many individuals wait for validation from family, friends, or society, but the truth is this: no one will hand you permission to be great. You must claim it yourself. Step forward with the certainty that greatness is your right, not your reward. Think of every person you admire, the leaders, creators, inventors. They were once told they were not good enough, not smart enough, not ready. But they didn't listen. Why? Because they had inner vision. They didn't see the world as it is. They saw it as it could be, and themselves as the ones to shape it. Now, let me teach you a law that governs success. It is the law of identity. You become what you identify with. If you walk like the best, speak like the best, prepare like the best, and think like the best, then slowly and surely you will become the best. This is not arrogance. This is intelligent faith in your potential. Do not fear failure. Fear standing still. Do not worry about how long it takes. Worry about never beginning. Every expert was once a beginner. Every champion once lost. Every master once doubted, but they pressed on. So I say to you, believe it's all possible. Act as if you are the best, and in doing so you set into motion the forces of growth, momentum, and mastery. Let today be the day you stop seeking permission and start moving with purpose. You are capable, you are powerful, you are ready, and when you believe this fully and act accordingly, the impossible becomes inevitable. 5 keynotes of the speech. Belief is the foundation of achievement. What you believe shapes what you attempt and what you ultimately achieve. Action must match belief. Confidence without action is wasted potential. Act boldly as though success is certain. Identity precedes outcome. Become the person in mindset and behavior before the results appear. Greatness doesn't require permission. Waiting for validation holds you back. Decide that you are ready and act from that decision. Consistency is the engine of mastery. Repetition, persistence, and resilience transform belief into reality. Belief is the foundation of achievement. It is the silent force behind every act of courage, every bold decision, and every impossible dream brought to life. Without belief, the mind becomes a prisoner of doubt, locked in hesitation, chained by fear. But with belief, true, deep, unwavering belief, an ordinary person can rise above limitations, surpass expectations, and create results that astonish even the world around them. The beginning of every great accomplishment was a simple thought: I can. That thought may have been whispered in the mind of someone no one believed in. It may have been quiet, fragile, uncertain, but once it was fed with faith, strengthened by focus, and supported with effort, it grew into something powerful. It became a conviction, and that conviction became unstoppable. Belief is not wishful thinking. It's not blind hope. It is the decision to see possibility where others see barriers. It is the choice to hold a vision so strongly in your mind that no amount of difficulty can shake it. When you believe, you don't wait for the perfect conditions. You begin. You build. You trust that the path will unfold under your feet because your steps are guided by purpose, not perfection. Those who accomplish great things are not always the smartest, the wealthiest, or the most talented, but they are always among the most certain. Their minds are not cluttered with what if it fails, but focused on what if it works. They don't retreat at the first sign of resistance. Instead, they lean in, fueled by the belief that the outcome is worth the struggle. This belief gives them stamina, it gives them clarity, it gives them the emotional and mental fuel to keep moving when logic says stop. Belief changes your behavior. When you believe you can succeed, you take actions you wouldn't take if you thought you'd fail. You reach out to people you otherwise might avoid. You study longer, prepare harder, commit deeper. You show up with a different energy. You speak with conviction. Your belief tells your body how to carry itself, your voice how to project itself, and your mind how to push through limits. It becomes the operating system for your entire being. You see, belief doesn't just shape how you feel, it shapes what you do, and what you do determines what you become. Children are the most powerful example of belief in action. Watch how they learn to walk. They fall again and again, and yet they keep rising. Why? Because they have no concept of failure. They only believe it is possible. That belief, untouched by fear or overthinking, drives them to rise each time they fall. It's the same with achievers. They believe not just in themselves, but in the process, in the future, and in the rewards waiting on the other side of persistence. The danger for many is that they let their belief be shaped by others. A teacher's doubt, a parent's fear, a friend's criticism. These are often enough to stop people from even trying. But the most successful individuals learn early to build their belief from the inside. They understand that belief must come from a place that is personal, protected, and powerful. You must guard it. You must feed it. You must nurture it like a fire that will die without attention. There will be moments where belief is tested, when circumstances look grim, when progress is slow, when nothing seems to be working. In these moments many give up, but those who achieve, the people who truly make a difference, are the ones who hold on to belief even when the evidence is missing. They trust that their efforts are not in vain. They trust that their time will come. And because they continue believing, they continue doing. And because they continue doing, they eventually succeed. Belief turns ordinary plans into unstoppable missions. It gives strength to the weak and hope to the lost. It whispers, "Keep going," when the voice of the world screams, "Give up." If you plant belief deep in your mind, water it with repetition, and protect it from doubt, you can transform your life in ways no one thought possible. Not even you, and that is the ultimate power of belief. It allows you to act as if it's already possible, until it actually is. Action must match belief. It's one thing to have dreams, goals, and confidence in your mind, but unless you translate that belief into consistent, meaningful action, it remains potential energy, powerful, but unused. Belief without action is like a car with a full tank of fuel, but no one behind the wheel. It may have the capacity to go far, but it isn't going anywhere on its own. True belief expresses itself not only in thoughts, but in behaviors, habits, and decisions that move you forward. If you say you believe you are capable, your actions must reflect that confidence in everything you do. The gap between belief and action is often where success is lost. Many people believe they can become more, do more, and achieve more, yet they wait. They wait for permission, for perfect timing, for more knowledge, or for some magical sign that now is the time to start. But belief that doesn't move becomes self-deception. You begin to fool yourself into thinking you're on your way, simply because you've convinced yourself mentally. But your external world is shaped not by what you believe in theory, it's shaped by what you do repeatedly in practice. If you believe you deserve a better life, you must act like someone who is building one. That means showing up early, staying committed, studying harder, taking risks, and not allowing setbacks to define your pace. There's no room for laziness in the world of belief-driven action. When you truly believe in something, whether it's your future, your business, your talent, or your purpose, you show up to serve it with all your energy. Excuses fade away because action becomes a priority, not a possibility. Every champion in any field didn't just believe they could win, they trained like they would. They practiced when no one was watching. They stayed disciplined when no one was clapping. Their belief fueled a routine, and that routine became excellence. You cannot wish your way to success. You must work your way there, powered by the belief that the effort will eventually lead to reward. There's a principle in life that says energy follows intention. When your actions are aligned with your belief, your energy becomes focused, strong, and directed. You stop wasting time on distractions. You stop giving power to things that don't support your goals. You cut out negativity not because you're blind to reality, but because your belief is too valuable to risk poisoning it with doubt. And this belief doesn't just live in your head anymore, it lives in your calendar, your to-do list, your behavior, your words. The difference between those who believe and succeed and those who believe and remain stuck is simple. The first group does something about it. Every day, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect. They understand that momentum is built through movement, not through motivation. You don't wait until you feel ready to act. You act, and that action creates readiness, clarity, and growth. Fear, procrastination, and perfectionism often try to block action. They disguise themselves as rational thought, whispering that maybe tomorrow is better, maybe you're not quite ready, maybe someone else will do it first. But action is the ultimate weapon against fear. When you move forward despite being unsure, your belief gains strength. Your courage multiplies. You prove to yourself that you are capable, and each step reinforces the belief you started with. In truth, people rarely regret taking action. They regret waiting. They regret wondering what could have happened if they had started earlier. That's why action must be urgent. You must take yourself seriously enough to show up for your goals as if they are non-negotiable. Because they are, you cannot become your best self with occasional effort. You need disciplined, daily belief-driven action. When belief and action work together, they create something powerful: progress. And progress, no matter how slow, builds confidence. That confidence reinforces belief, which inspires more action. It becomes a cycle, a rhythm of success. The more you act on your belief, the more you see results. The more results you see, the more your belief becomes unshakable. What started as a thought becomes a transformation, all because you are willing to move. So if you say you believe in your dream, prove it. Show it in your discipline, show it in your commitment, show it in your daily habits, your attitude, and your willingness to sacrifice comfort for growth. Belief is the spark, but action, consistent, deliberate action, is the fire that changes everything. Identity precedes outcome. Who you believe you are shapes what you do, and what you do determines the results you create. Long before you achieve a goal, you must become the kind of person who achieves goals. This is where many people go wrong. They focus solely on changing their external circumstances: more money, a better job, a stronger body, but they fail to address the internal programming that governs every decision they make. You cannot consistently outperform your self-image. The version of yourself that lives in your mind is the one calling the shots, and until that version evolves, your results will remain limited, no matter how hard you try. If you see yourself as average, you will act in average ways. If you see yourself as someone who always quits when it gets hard, then that identity will take control the moment challenges arise. But if you begin to shift yourself, concept, and adopt the identity of someone who is disciplined, focused, resilient, and capable, you start to think and behave in alignment with that identity. And when your identity changes, your habits follow. It becomes natural to make better decisions because you're no longer trying to force new behavior. You're simply acting in accordance with who you believe you are. This is why people who undergo lasting transformation don't just change what they do, they change how they see themselves. A person who loses weight and keeps it off didn't just follow a diet. They became someone who values health. A successful entrepreneur didn't just build a business. They adopted the mindset and character traits of a leader. They didn't wait until the world saw them as successful. They started treating themselves like they already were. The identity came first. The recognition came later. The key to unlocking new levels of performance and achievement lies in asking a powerful question: who do I need to become? Not just what do I want, but who must I be to have it? When you begin with identity, your goals become more than targets. They become reflections of the person you are committed to becoming. That changes everything, because now you're not chasing results from the outside in. You're building them from the inside out. Consider how elite performers in any field think. Before they ever win, they carry themselves like winners. They think like professionals. They train like champions. They prepare with the seriousness of someone who knows they belong at the top. And because they see themselves this way, they demand more from themselves. They hold higher standards. They don't hope for success, they expect it. Not out of arrogance, but out of alignment with who they believe they are. When you shift your identity, you shift your environment. You no longer surround yourself with influences that contradict your vision. You don't engage in habits that drag you backward. You begin to protect your mental and emotional space because you're nurturing a new version of yourself that's still taking shape. You become selective with your time, your energy, and your focus. And slowly, your external world begins to reflect your internal changes. But this shift doesn't happen by accident. It must be intentional. You must begin to speak differently, act differently, and carry yourself as if you are already the person you are working to become. This isn't pretending, it's practicing. Every time you act in alignment with your desired identity, you reinforce that identity. You give your brain evidence that this is who you are now, and over time, that identity becomes your new normal. The challenge for most people is that they keep chasing outcomes while still identifying with their old self. They try to build new habits with an outdated self-image, and eventually they self-sabotage. The old identity pulls them back because their behavior is out of sync with who they think they are. To truly grow, you must break this cycle by rewriting the script in your mind. You must let go of the story that says you're not good enough, not smart enough, not ready, and replace it with a story that empowers you to rise. Real transformation happens when you no longer just do what successful people do, but when you become someone who naturally produces success. When you embody the identity of a high performer, a visionary, a leader, or a finisher, your actions no longer require constant force, they flow. You are not acting, you are being. And in that being, the outcomes you desire begin to show up, not because you forced them, but because you attracted them through who you became. Identity always comes before achievement. When you become the person worthy of the outcome becomes inevitable. Greatness doesn't require permission. This truth, once fully understood, has the power to change the course of your life. So many people wait. They wait for someone to notice their talent, for a boss to give them a chance, for a mentor to give them approval, or for society to give them validation. But the harsh reality is that the world doesn't hand out permission slips for greatness. It doesn't offer guarantees or unanimous applause before you take action. If you want to do something extraordinary, you must stop seeking permission and start creating your own path with conviction. The need for external approval is deeply ingrained in us from a young age. We're conditioned to follow rules, ask before acting, and seek praise for our efforts. While that may serve a purpose in childhood, it becomes a prison in adulthood. You start living for the expectations of others instead of the potential within yourself. And when you do that, you hand over your power. You let someone else decide when you're ready, when you're worthy, or when you're allowed to pursue your dream. But greatness has never worked that way. History's greatest leaders, thinkers, artists, and entrepreneurs didn't wait for consensus. They decided, and that decision changed everything. You must understand that the power to begin is already in your hands. You don't need someone else to say you're smart enough, talented enough, qualified enough. Those labels are meaningless unless you assign value to them. If you continue to believe you need someone else's approval, you will always play small. You will hesitate. You will edit yourself. You will shrink your ideas to fit into the limited expectations of those around you. But once you realize that you are the only one who needs to believe in your vision, the limitations begin to disappear. Confidence isn't about arrogance, it's about ownership. It's about claiming your potential without apology. Many people hold themselves back because they fear being judged. They worry that others will criticize their ambition, laugh at their efforts, or question their choices. But judgment is the cost of leadership. The higher you rise, the more visible you become, and the more opinions you'll face. But if you let the fear of judgment override your desire to grow, you will never do anything that matters. The truth is, people are going to have opinions no matter what you do, so you might as well do something bold, something meaningful, something true to you. When you stop asking for permission, you start to develop an internal compass. You stop needing approval to validate your direction. You begin to make decisions based on your values, your intuition, and your goals, not based on what will please others or avoid criticism. This is when your life starts to feel aligned. You no longer live in reaction to the world. You begin to create your world from the inside out. That's the moment you stop being a follower and start becoming a leader of your time, your vision, and your destiny. There will be times when your actions are misunderstood. There will be moments when people you care about don't support you. That's part of the price. But the reward is freedom, the freedom to become everything you were designed to be. Every time you choose to act without waiting, you strengthen your courage. You send a message to yourself that your dreams are worth the risk and your voice is worth hearing. You stop second, guessing, and start building. And what you build over time becomes a testament to your decision to move without waiting for the world to catch up. The reality is, there will never be a perfect moment. There will never be a unanimous cheer from the sidelines telling you that you're ready. You must decide that you are. Readiness is not a matter of circumstance, it's a matter of mindset. You become ready the moment you commit, the moment you trust that taking action is more important than waiting for approval. People often talk about confidence as something you either have or don't, but confidence is built, and it is built through self-trust. Every time you make a decision without asking for permission, every time you speak your truth, launch your idea, or pursue your goal, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted with your future, and that trust is what fuels greatness. So remember this, no one is going to hand you the green light. No one is going to say, now is the time. You must decide that now is the time. You must believe that your voice matters, your mission matters, and your life is too important to spend it waiting for someone else to say, go. Give yourself permission to start. Give yourself permission to be powerful. That's how greatness begins, not with approval from others, but with authority from within. Persistence turns vision into victory. It is the invisible bridge that connects the idea in your mind to the success in your reality. You can have belief, you can take bold action, you can build a powerful identity, and you can even stop waiting for permission, but none of it matters if you give up when it gets hard. The truth is, everything worth achieving takes time, effort, and an unshakable refusal to quit. The path to success is rarely a straight line. It is filled with detours, delays, failures, and moments that test your commitment to the core. Only those who persist, who stay the course despite adversity, ever truly reach their highest potential. Most people begin their journey with excitement. They are energized by the dream, inspired by the possibilities, and fueled by motivation. But motivation fades, life gets hard, challenges arise, and that's when many people stop. They interpret resistance as a sign that maybe it's not meant to be. They believe the difficulty means they've taken a wrong turn. But in reality, difficulty is not a sign to quit, it's a sign that you're growing. It's proof that you are pushing beyond your comfort zone. Persistence is what keeps you moving when inspiration has run out. It is the force that says, I will not give up no matter what. Persistence is not about perfection. It's not about always getting it right or never falling. It's about standing up one more time than you fall. It's about returning to your mission after setbacks, heartbreaks, and failures. Every great success story is, at its heart, a story of persistence. The world may see the breakthrough, the achievement, the spotlight moment, but what they don't see is the countless hours of unseen effort. The failures that came first, and the quiet decision to keep going when quitting would have been easier. That's what separates those who only dream from those who achieve. Persistence gives birth to resilience. When you persist, you train your mind to endure discomfort, to withstand rejection, and to rise above discouragement. You become mentally tougher, emotionally stronger, and spiritually deeper. Challenges that once would have broken you become stepping stones. You no longer fear failure because you've learned how to walk through it. That's the power of persistence. It transforms your character, not just your circumstances. There will be days when nothing seems to work, days when results don't match your effort, days when it feels like the entire world is against you. In those moments, your ability to persist will be the only thing that keeps your dream alive. Success doesn't always come to the most talented or the most connected. More often, it comes to those who simply refuse to give up. Those who kept showing up, those who believed that the process was worth it even when progress was slow. Every time you persist through hardship, you build momentum. That momentum compounds over time, creating a force that becomes unstoppable. You gain experience, wisdom, and confidence. You start to trust yourself more. You begin to expect success, not as a matter of luck, but as a matter of consistency. Persistence allows you to stay in the game long enough to win. It's not about speed, it's about staying power. People often overestimate what they can achieve in a short period and underestimate what they can achieve over time with persistence. The dream may take longer than expected, but if it's worth having, it's worth fighting for. You can't control every obstacle, but you can control whether or not you continue. That's your power. You can choose to press on when others give up. You can choose to try again when others walk away. And in doing so, you separate yourself from the crowd. There is a quiet dignity in persistence. It doesn't always shout. It doesn't always get recognition. But it is the silent force behind every masterpiece, every invention, every revolution. It is what turns a vision into a legacy. And if you commit to persistence, you will one day look back not just proud of what you achieved, but proud of who you became in the process. Because persistence doesn't just change your results, it changes you. It builds a version of you that no longer breaks under pressure, no longer backs down at fear, and no longer questions your worth. And that version of you is the one capable of turning any vision into victory. The truth is simple, yet profound. Everything you seek is already within your reach, but only if you dare to believe it's possible and act as though success is not just a hope, but an expectation. You've seen how belief fuels action, how identity shapes destiny, how permission is something you give yourself, and how persistence carves the path through adversity. These are not abstract ideas. They are principles, timeless and powerful, waiting for you to apply them. You don't need to wait for someone to choose you. You don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to have all the answers. You just need to decide to believe, decide to act, decide to become. Decide to continue. The future doesn't belong to the lucky, it belongs to the bold. So take the vision in your heart, pair it with unshakable belief and relentless execution, and rise, not someday, today. Because greatness is not given, it's claimed, and it's time for you to claim yours.